Born on the farm.
What year?
35.
1935. So was that right in the middle of the Dust Bowl days?
Yeah, right in the middle of the Depression. Oh, it was pretty tough, I know that.
All right, Gerome, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate you being here.
You bet.
I'm going to ask you some questions that I haven't really asked you a lot of before, just because I'm curious. Where did you grow up?
In North Dakota.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know any humans lived over there. That was all sagebrush.
Yeah, there's a few of them live there.
Yeah?
Yeah, born on the farm.
What year?
35.
1935. So was that right in the middle of the Dust Bowl days?
Yep.
Was it?
Right in the middle of the Depression.
Really? What do you remember your parents telling you about that time period when you were born?
Oh, it was pretty tough, I know that. In fact, Dad worked on the WPA during the Depression.
What's that?
It's a work.
Like a work program?
Yeah, it is a work program, but the government paid you to work.
That was basically when they built Fort Peck to try to just put people to work for jobs, right?
Well, they did it for irrigation also.
Okay.
But they just like the Garrison Dam, they built it for supposedly for irrigation. Nobody irrigates out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they filled that full of water in 1952 is when they started backing water in that.
Okay. Because I remember hearing the story about Fort Peck that the economy was so bad and so many people were out of jobs that instead of just like government welfare and handing out checks, they actually did projects where they put people to work, like building Fort Peck, and I think some of the interstate system.
They did a lot of coal mining stuff too during that period.
So did you grow up on a farm?
Yeah.
What'd you guys grow?
Well, wheat and cows, and of course, horses. We didn't know what the hell a tractor was back then.
Yeah, you guys all horse farmed?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Until I think it was 1943 or 44, we got the first tractor.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I used to have to walk behind the plow and whip the horses when the old man yelled at him while he's sitting his fat ass on the plow seats.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was, and you know, imagine yourself like 8 years old, 9 or 8 or 9 or whatever, and you got to put the harness on some big-ass horses. The only way you can do it is you're not tall enough to get the harness on the horse, so you got to stand on a 5-gallon bucket to do that.
Yeah.
And then one of them big guys steps on your foot. You had a hard time getting him off from it.
Yeah. No shit. No shit. Thanks. Gosh.
Yeah, it was.
Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I had 6 brothers and 1 sister.
Holy shit, that poor girl.
Yeah, well, back then, all the old farmers, especially the old Germans, which we were, they always had a lot of kids. It's free labor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Were you way out kind of in the middle of nowhere in North Dakota, or were you close to town?
The closest town was just a grocery store and a couple bars. Was 8 miles away.
Yeah.
By horse.
Yeah. How old are you guys when you got your first cars?
Oh, I don't remember for sure when we got our first car. It must have been during the war or right after it.
Yeah.
That Kaiser Fraser started making cars.
Yeah.
I think Kaiser was the first car that I remember of.
Did you guys have power in your house growing up?
No.
No. No running water then? Or
No. Yeah, we had a lot of running water. You take a bucket and run and get it. No, we never had any running water at all. And no indoor toilet, of course, or nothing. But we didn't have any power until REA came out.
How old do you think you were then?
God, I don't really remember. Probably, I was going to school. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
Um,
So did you have windmills?
yeah.
Yeah. Just hauled water to the house. I remember my dad talks about when he was a kid, like getting like one bath a week, sharing it. He had 15 brothers and sisters, so they had to share bath water. He had to share damn bath water with his brothers and baths, and because
so many took a bath before you had to change the water.
Yep.
Same way with washing up.
Yeah.
But like I said, the only running water we had was you run and get it in a bucket.
Yeah.
But the windmill was probably a couple 100 feet away from the house.
Yeah, so it wasn't so bad to go over to it.
Yeah, and then we had to hand pump all the water into the water tank for the cows.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I was actually like, an eighth of a mile from the reservation fence.
Yeah.
I was actually born on the reservation in an old log house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the farm that we had had been an old, homestead.
Okay.
It was an old homestead.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had a big hip roof barn, and I was pretty young because I barely remember that when we had a cyclone and it tore the barn down. Of course, we were all down in the basement at that time, and the basement back then was dirt.
Yeah.
There was no concrete.
Yeah.
But
and a tornado came through and took out the barn.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, when we rebuilt the barn, a low roof one, I don't suppose we could find all the wood.
Yeah. Probably spread it all over the county.
Yeah, our closest neighbor was a couple miles away, I guess.
So did you go to school in like a one-room schoolhouse type deal?
Yeah. It ain't there no more now.
Yeah.
But yeah, walked, it was 1.75 miles to the school.
Really? Uphill both ways?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 foot of snow in July.
Yeah. No.
Just hot and rattlesnakes.
Yeah, they had. No, we never had many rattlesnakes. No, we had a few bull snakes around, but a lot of gophers and shit. And during the 30s, the wind had blown so much, the topsoil, away.
Yeah.
Where the iron posts were on the fence, it was almost to the top of them, the dirt.
Holy shit.
From the wind blowing during the 30s there.
God damn.
So, yeah, it was pretty.
Were your teachers nuns, Catholic nuns, or were they?
No, just a one-room school out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, like I said, the closest place to buy any groceries at all was like 8 miles away.
Yeah.
And the school was 1.75 miles from our house.
And you'd walk to school every day and
Oh, yeah.
walk back?
Yep.
And the neighbor kids, how many kids do you think were in your school?
Oh, there was probably about 25 or 30 of us, I guess.
Yeah. Come from all over.
Well, all around there. The township, I guess.
Yeah. What town in North Dakota was that?
A little town called Robb. It's not there no more. Rose Glen is still there. That was our mailing address. It was about the same distance. Probably, no, it was a little further away than Robb, I'd say. 2 or 3 miles further than that.
Yeah.
About 12 or 13 miles to that.
So what do you remember about, like, World War II?
We almost got sent back to Germany.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
No shit.
At that time, I was 13. Yeah. Well, you know how the government is. And anyway, during that time, my great-granddad fought in the Civil War.
Really?
Yeah.
God dang.
So the reason, actually, that we almost got sent back was on my mother's side, we had a general that was in the SS.
Oh.
So they was going to send us back, and that was not too long before the war ended. I remember I was 13 years old at that time when he was going to, well, I would be, well, 45, no, I'd be 10 years old.
Yeah.
When he was going to send us back to Germany. But
you remember, how did your parents get that word? Was a letter sent to them, or did somebody come out and visit the house and be like?
I don't remember how that came about.
Yeah, well, that'd be fairly stressful.
Yeah, so we didn't know whether we was going to. Oh, hell, Dad owned the farm already then. How can they just up and kick you out?
Right.
But
did your dad? He didn't fight in World War II.
No.
Okay.
No, he would. A lot of the farmers back then actually were exempt.
Yeah.
For food-wise,
right.
For the people and stuff.
Yep.
And we're getting in the same position now. The farmers are having a hard time.
Right.
With fertilizer going up and fuel and stuff like that. Jesus.
Yeah, no, if a war broke out today, like a major big one, feeding America would be a priority.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Especially if you're not importing anything.
Well, we are importing, but we're exporting too. I don't get how that trade deal works. It seems like it's stupid to me.
Yeah.
Like we send wheat overseas, but we import some from Ukraine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. So do you remember what did you just work on the farm the whole time through high school, or did you have any jobs?
No, never. I had one job before I left home. So.
Yeah. So did you go to college, or what'd you do?
I didn't do anything. I never went to school.
You didn't go to high school?
No, it was too far away.
Well, that explains all your problems.
Yeah, right.
God damn.
It was 30 miles to the nearest high school.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went to your one-room schoolhouse till like what age?
Until I was 13 or 14, I guess, whatever.
And then you just started working on the farm?
Yeah, until I was 18, and then I went into service.
Okay. Joined the service?
Yeah.
What branch?
I was in the Air Force.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a crew chief on the flight line.
Okay. What made you decide to join the force, the Air Force? What made you just decide to join the military at all? Just to get out of North Dakota?
Well, it was hard to find a job back then. It was during the oil field boom. True, but I mean, you don't have no trade or nothing.
Right.
When you're on the farm, So I didn't want to. I had two brothers that were in the Army, and they were in Korea and shit. Well, then I went to Korea after I got in the Air Force. I was over there right at the end of the war, and I liked aviation, but too many hours.
Really?
Yeah, and shit, yeah, I never worked an 8-hour day in my life on the flight line.
Yeah.
It was either anywhere from 10 to 15, 16 hours.
What was your job on the flight line? What do you do?
I was a mechanic, crew chief.
Okay.
They wanted me to crew 2 airplanes, and I told them I had a hard enough time keeping one flying good.
So was that the Korean War?
Yeah.
You went over to the Korean War?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like? What do you remember from that?
Oh, not a whole lot, really. The people over there are really poor people.
Really?
In fact, they still are. One of my doctors is half Korean.
Yeah.
And he said he thinks that the people out in the country live just like they did 50 years ago.
Really? Yeah.
They have nothing.
It's amazing coming from where you were at, which a lot of people would consider poor, right? Like a farm in the middle of nowhere with no power and
yeah,
tough, and like to go there and and think that they're poor. Like, it shows the conditions those people are in, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really, the people in North Korea are worse off now than the people in South Korea, of course. But,
Yeah.
But the North Korean people they have nothing.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is, If you have an acre of land, the government says they want this portion of your crop.
Right.
Okay, so if the guy has a bad crop, they don't care.
Right.
They take their portion. If you don't have enough, that's your problem.
Yeah.
That's how they have to live. But
Now, were you also in Vietnam?
no. No, I didn't stay in. I was a sergeant, you can't afford to. If you get married when you're a young sergeant, you don't have enough time and grade to get a very good paycheck.
Now, I'm surprised with your experience that you weren't drafted into Vietnam.
They didn't. Well, I don't know if they could have redrafted you or not.
Really?
Once you serve your time.
Right. Yeah, if they need, I just was wondering with your experience if they would have needed you.
Oh yeah, they would have taken me back. Yeah,
Yeah. So you got married when you were? Were you in the Korean? Like, where did you get married in that time frame with Korea? Before you went, or
no, after?
After.
Yeah, I got married in here in Missoula.
Oh, okay. So you did how long were you in the service?
4 years.
4 years, and then you got out, and how did you end up? Did you go straight to Missoula, or how?
No, I had a friend on the flight line. I had an apprentice, a helper, whatever you want to call him. And he was from Missoula. We were in Great Falls.
Okay.
And so I came over here and met Darlene. And
you were based in Great Falls at Malmstrom?
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was running a tanker there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they still have tankers over there anymore or not.
Yeah, I don't think they do. But so you came to Missoula. You met Darlene. You guys dated, and then how long until you got married? Next day?
It was about a year or so, I guess.
Okay. What were you doing for work once you got out?
When I first got out, I was here in Missoula.
Yep.
You couldn't beg, borrow, or steal a job, hardly.
Really?
So I...
What year was that?
Be 58.
Yeah.
I worked in a gas station for $1.25 an hour.
No shit.
Yeah.
Overpaid. Wow.
So then I went back over to Great Falls and started roofing.
Okay.
So I did roofing for 27 years.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So didn't you? I thought you told me in your shop one time you'd gotten hurt, broke your back or something. Didn't you fall off a plane or?
Well, but I haven't. I was 50 then.
Oh, so that was later on in life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's when I quit roofing.
You fell off a roof then, or?
Well, no, I actually fell off an airplane when I was putting on wing covers in Japan, but I couldn't. One day I got a rain gutter. I had three rain gutter machines after I quit roofing.
Yeah.
And one day I was going to do a job on this big motel, a 2-story one. I got halfway up the ladder and I couldn't make it anymore. I was pulling myself up by my arms because my legs weren't working right. I got down off the ladder and said, "I'm done." I sold my business. And
had you known when you fell off that plane in Japan that you hurt yourself, or?
Yeah, but all my records were destroyed.
How's that?
In a fire in St. Louis. So I couldn't.
Like the VA records?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you got out of the military, had you had surgery on your back? Like when you fell off that plane,
No,
did they X-ray you or?
No, I went to. I was actually in Korea then, and I went to Japan, it said not to exceed 3 months. I didn't stay there that long, but anyway. Then our outfit moved to Japan, and then I just stayed there until I got out.
Oh. But when you fell off that plane, did they x-ray your back, or did they?
I don't remember, but even the microfilm and everything was destroyed and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
All those VA records were destroyed.
Yeah.
So you never got any kind of VA help then?
The only thing I get is free medical.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that back injury flared up on you after roofing for, you said 27 years?
Yeah.
And then you did some gutter stuff. So when did you start making knives and all that?
I didn't start making knives until 1982 after I couldn't do anything else. I thought, well, hell, maybe I'll make some knives. And started making knives. And
So I was born in 81.
in 81?
Yeah. So that's when you started, basically when you started making knives the next year.
Yeah.
God damn, you're old.
You know, it didn't take me very long to figure out when and then I think, Moran started making Damascus in 81?
I thought it was 79, but it was right in there.
Well, anyway,
Somewhere in there.
I got to know what that was through the magazine and whatever, and so I thought, well, hell, we'll make some Damascus. And
So that's kind of something that people don't realize today, and I talk about it fairly often, is like, it makes me sound old, but I mean, I was making knives before the internet, and nowadays, it seems like if you're not on the internet and on Instagram or whatever, like you didn't even exist before the internet, because
Yeah.
people just follow stuff on the internet these days. But, you know, back then, especially back then, like I was lucky when I got into it, knife making had really kind of started to boom, you know, in the 90s. There were a lot of shows and a lot of that stuff. But back when you started, there were really just pockets of people around the country at that time.
Yeah, there wasn't any shows, really.
Yeah.
There was a few in California, maybe.
Mostly like gun show type stuff, probably.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
you started, Blade Magazine was the only magazine, right?
No,
Or was it?
well,
Actually, I don't even know.
Soldier of Fortune.
Yeah. Yeah, because B.R. Hughes started writing about Bill Moran, and was it in, I don't think it was Field and Stream. I thought it was an outdoor magazine he wrote about him in. I don't really remember.
Oh, I don't either.
But Outdoor Life.
Oh, Outdoor Life?
I think that's where he kind of started writing about Bill, because Bill got a lot of his notoriety through B.R. Hughes writing about him.
Yeah, yeah.
But guys were like down south, you had Steve Schwarzer and some of those guys down in there, and then up in the Northeast, you had like Don Fogg and
Schwarzer never started making knives till after that.
he was a little bit later, a little bit into the like mid 80s, I think.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when. I don't remember when he did it,
But Jim Schmidt, Don Fogg,
yeah.
Jimmy Fikes, guys like that. But you read about Damascus steel in a magazine?
Yeah, I think it was Blade.
Okay. Thought you would try it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I tried it for like 3 days,
Yeah.
and it was garbage.
Yeah.
And I'd been making knives, you know, I'd already made a couple thousand knives out of bandsaw blade. That 100 was 110 thousandths back then. You could get some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what the hell? I'll try putting some of that L6 in there.
Yeah.
I've been using it ever since, and so is everybody else now.
Right.
I remember Rick
Yeah.
and Shane
Rick Dunkerley and
came
Shane.
to my shop
Yeah.
and found out what I was using, and then everybody started using it after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you know that for crying out loud, Devin's kid,
Yep. Laren.
is he supposed to be a metallurgist? I thought he was.
He is. He's got a doctorate or for sure a master's degree. I think it's a doctorate in metallurgy.
Yeah, I thought, but then he's doing some kind of school or something. Something, he's got a thing on the computer.
Well, he's got a Knife Nerds website, and
Yeah.
he just teaches, basically just shares information about all different knife steels and the metallurgy, and because
he's writing a book, you know.
Yeah, he wrote one. Yeah, it's called Knife Nerds.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Just recently?
Yep. Yeah, like came out like a year and a half ago.
No, he's doing another one.
Doing another one.
He called me.
Oh.
And I talked to him for a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
But what I'm thinking is that Shane and Rick will never admit they came to my shop and learned anything from me.
I'll have to ask them.
They'll never give me the credit.
Yeah. Damn guys.
Yeah.
Well, so back to how you got into making knives. How did you start?
I had a little electric motor,
Yeah.
little stone on it. I started in my back porch, actually. I didn't know what else to do at the time.
Yeah. Was it just a hobby?
No, I was figuring on something trying to figure out something to make a living.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I started doing it. But
did you know anybody back then around you that made any knives?
No.
No?
Didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
There was nobody that I knew of, except Verona, but,
Yeah.
you know, they were pretty well closed mouth, you know. But
So he wasn't really one to share much?
no, I never really knew Rudy. I knew Vic, you know,
Yeah.
pretty well.
It's interesting that you and Rudy didn't really know each other well because, I mean, I don't know how old Rudy would be today if he was still alive. I mean, he was older than you, but...
Yeah, I don't know how old he was either.
But he was just out in Bonner, and you're here in Missoula, so you'd have thought you guys would have run across each other's path.
No, the only time that I ever ran across anybody close was Vic. I remember I met him. They used to have a knife shop in the mall a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was over there one day talking to that guy. I can't remember his name. When Vic came in there, and we talked a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just a few years ago, I made 200 knives for him.
Oh, really?
I made two separate deals. I made 100. They were all Damascus. Made the blades for him, and they finished them out.
So when you started making knives in the beginning, you were just using a little motor, grinding on your back porch, and then do you remember selling some of your first ones? How?
I used to sell them for $23.
Really?
Yeah.
God, you were high priced. My first two were 20.
I actually started selling a few of them at Sportsman's Surplus.
Okay.
When they were, over there in the shopping center. But
so how'd you get the word out? So these days, everything's based around the internet, and free marketing and all that. But back then, how did you get the word out and start selling them?
The only advertising I ever did, I did some advertising in Blade Magazine, actually. But I don't think until the 90s, early 90s. In fact, that's how come I got a call from Laren. I think he was looking at a 93, and it said 2 high carbon steels. And that's the reason he called me. And then I had that conversation with him about Rick and Shane.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It's, so you started progressing, and then when did things really take off and you started making knives? Because what's always amazed me about you ever since I've ever known you is, I mean, you're very, very productive. I mean, and you're handmade. There's nothing CNC. It's all hand ground, handmade, hand cut out. When did you start really like catching fire and starting to grow a business?
Oh, it would have been probably in the late 80s.
Yeah.
I was making, one year I made 950 knives.
Damn.
That's the most I ever made in a year. That's not a 40-hour week either, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember I met you, I think, in like probably 93 or 4. 90, I started making knives in 92.
You were at university.
No, I would have been younger than that. I would have still been in like junior high because were you involved in like the formation of the Montana Knifemakers Association?
Oh, yeah,
that
definitely.
first meeting?
Yeah.
Because there was that first meeting about it at Hooper Park in Lincoln.
No, I went. It was in Kalispell.
Or maybe that was in Kalispell. Because I remember Rick talking about it with some guys at Hooper Park in Lincoln and then up in Kalispell. Because Rick was involved, you were involved, maybe Shane Taylor.
I don't remember Shane other than being there, but he could have been.
Yeah,
he was always kind of quiet anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, by that point, and that was around what, 95, 96?
Oh, it must have been before that. No, they started earlier than that. Let's see.
Maybe it was 94. Because I was around when it started.
The first time I remember meeting you was at the university.
At that knife show?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you need to remember better.
Why?
Well, I remember meeting you before that.
Oh, where at?
I want to say it was at one of Rick's hammer-ins. I think he had a hammer-in before that university show. But I probably didn't make anything nice enough for you to remember until the university.
Well, that's the first time I remember you having a table or anything that I seen that you had done.
Yeah.
There was, that was later, though. Over in Miles City, that was later.
Yeah, that was a little later. Over at Shane's shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, Schwarzer came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but I remember back then when I met you, though, a lot of these guys were kind of getting going in making knives, like in 92, 93, like when I started.
Yeah.
A lot of them hadn't been making knives very long, but you were already kind of had a full business. I mean, you had a full-on knife business going on. Because I remember coming to those shows, and you'd have like 50 knives out there. You had a lot of knives.
Yeah. I know. My wife always says, you put too many on the table, they can't make up their mind which one they want.
Yeah. She is smarter than you. She's probably right.
She went to high school.
Yeah. How many kids did you have?
3 girls.
3 girls? Grandkids?
I have about 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. My youngest daughter died from cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she used to run the kitchen at Hellgate Elementary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was a going gal.
What year was that?
Oh, God, I don't remember for sure now. She's been gone about 7, 8 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awful. Did she have kids?
Yeah, 2, a boy and a girl.
How are they doing?
Well, my granddaughter is an RN at St. Pat's, and my grandson, who never speaks to me anymore, is a mechanic at the Chevrolet company.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when you and Darlene kind of got your lives going here in Missoula, tough to find jobs, all that kind of stuff. Did you rent? Did you buy a home pretty soon?
No, I rented until I built my own. I went to work. I had a carpenter's card. I was a journeyman carpenter.
Were you union?
Yeah.
You union bastard.
I was.
You're always giving me shit about being a union lineman here. You're a coffee-drinking, lazy union worker.
Yeah, right, yeah. I had to belong to do jobs around the state.
I see.
You know.
Yeah.
Big roofing jobs and stuff. And so, I don't know. What would you ask me?
Well, you rented for a while.
Yeah. Well, I built. Okay, so I went to work at Bonner in the mill one winter because they wanted some carpenters. So we did a bunch of building inside the old box factory and stuff. And so I'd buy lumber, take it home, and I built my own house up Lolo Creek.
So like the Johnny Cash song, One Piece at a Time? Did you bring a board
Pretty
home?
much, yeah.
Each night? Just brought a board home or some nails in your lunchbox?
Oh, I had a trailer I pulled behind my pickup, and once in a while they'd have a deal on some lumber. I'd just buy the whole damn bunk, and take it home.
Is that that's not the house at Harper's, right?
No.
Different house?
Yeah. I sold that in 93. I sold my house up there in 93.
So when you bought your first house, actually, was it just bare land you bought?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What'd you have to pay for your first piece of ground around Missoula?
About 5 acres. It was seemed like it was $900.
5 acres today would go for a couple $100,000.
Probably, yeah.
God dang. What do you remember about Missoula? Like when you first moved here, started dating Darlene, what was it like back then?
It was terrible in town.
Why is that?
You could smell the pulp mill.
Oh yeah, the old paper mill.
Yeah, that was really bad then.
Well, that was all the way up until like 2002, 2003, because it was still in operation when I moved here.
Yeah, but they had cleaned it up a lot.
Okay, so it was...
they put a lot of scrubbers in and got rid of all the smell and stuff,
Okay, so it was really bad back then.
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
Really?
You could drive through the old mill site, and you could see, looks like it was raining yellow crap coming out of the air and stuff.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they'll never do anything to that land.
Yeah.
Just sitting there waste.
Yeah, it's a shame.
We were trying to get it for a flying field.
Oh.
It's condemned land.
Yeah.
Can't use it.
Yeah, it's basically, it is, I think, deemed officially a Superfund site now.
Well, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
What would that hurt?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but.
So back then it was just, I remember growing up in Lincoln. Missoula's 80 miles west of Lincoln, and I remember back then everybody went to Helena and Great Falls because when you went to Missoula, it stunk so bad.
Yeah.
Because of the mill.
Right. Of course, they put it on the wrong side of town.
Yeah, they should put it on the Bonner side.
Yeah.
Yeah, downwind.
Right.
But Missoula would have been pretty small back then, in the 50s. I mean, do you remember when the interstate went through? Wasn't that in the 60s?
I was here when they were building it, so it had to have been.
Yeah.
In the early 60s.
Yeah.
So I built my house up Little Creek in 1963.
Wow. God, there couldn't have been much up there back then.
No, there wasn't. There's still not a lot. Well, of course, I haven't been up there for a long time, but it's quite a bit of hard for water up there.
Yeah.
My first well was 25 feet deep. Had a lot of water until fall.
Yeah.
And it went dry. It was, so then I went down to 150. And at one time there had been a huge mountain behind us, I guess, because it was all rubble and shit way down to over 100 feet.
Oh, wow.
And so eventually the well filled back in with talc.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I drilled another one out west of the house, and somebody said it went dry. I don't know if it ever did or not. Who knows? You hear a lot of stuff that's not true.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I sold my house, guess who bought it?
Who's that?
Part of the Pride. Didn't call it that back then.
Yeah.
A couple of gay broads brought it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. I don't know. Well, anyway, I don't know who owns it now, but it caught fire about 3 years ago, and I haven't went up there and looked at it. I don't know how. I understood that part of it was burnt in the living room area, but
yeah, it's Probably your wiring.
Could have been. Who knows? It started in the attic.
Yeah, well, it's probably, yeah. Well, that's interesting. So when you were making knives, you really got into forging, because now when you go over to your shop, I mean, you've got more goddamn Damascus billets sitting around your freaking floor of your shop. You're a forging bastard.
I sold 5 over the weekend.
You sold 5?
Billets. Yeah.
Really?
I had some guys from Canada that came down and bought some.
Did you tell them it had flaws in it?
Yeah. I did have a flaw. Once in a while you do.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
It seems like, so over your years of forging, does it seem like now and then you go through streaks where all of a sudden you get like a gremlin in your shop and you end up with a bunch of flaws in it?
I did that a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
I couldn't weld together a feather to save my ass.
Really?
No. I couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
And I was beginning to wonder if some guy came in and threw a bunch of stuff in my forge or something.
Yeah. I think it's a disease like COVID, but it's real.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I went through a streak there where I struggled, and I ended up actually throwing away, like rebuilding my entire forge. Because I swear, and I don't know, maybe if during a hammer-in, I don't really think that happened, but like if somebody playing around melted something in there, I don't know, but I could not get steel to stick for nothing.
Yeah.
I kind of was blaming it on the steel. Like I was getting weird blue, like weird flames, colored flames coming out of the forge that you never see. And
Really?
like there was like,
You burning it up?
no, I don't think so. But then I rebuilt my forge and it went away.
Really? I thought about rebuilding mine. Well, then I went back and reread all my directions over 3 times, and I finally figured out, I think, what I was doing wrong. But
What were you doing?
I was doing one procedure, leaving one out.
Is this stainless Damascus?
No, it was regular Damascus for making a feather.
Oh, okay.
But you don't have to do all that. What the hell do you call it?
Flux?
No, you don't have to do that pattern to make
Oh.
a feather.
Oh, W's?
Yeah, you can just make a regular, standard, random piece of steel and cut it just like the W's and put it together, and it's a different look.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it looks fine.
Yeah. How did you, so what's been amazing about, because how old are you today now?
87.
87. God damn, you're a spring chicken.
Yeah.
Old rooster, really. What's always amazed me about you is you're just nonstop working. I mean, every time I've ever stopped by your place, you're out in your shop working, even into your 80s.
What else is there to do?
That's what I always say. I actually like to work.
Yeah.
Do you still enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get a little bit. I think the biggest problem today is not enough interaction with other makers.
Yeah.
I think that's what the problem is.
Are you saying you miss me?
Well, I never go with you around that much anyway, but
Well, but I think you're right with the internet.
yeah.
It kind of changed because back when I was learning in the 90s, we got together fairly often.
Yeah.
The knife, and you had to go to shows.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You had to go to shows to sell knives, or unless you got lucky with a magazine article. But like now, I can post a picture online and sell it and never go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't post anything online. I'm always so damn far behind. I don't bother putting anything on there. I did put a couple on there about a month ago, just because somebody wanted to see a picture of it. I don't remember how to do it, how I even did it now, because I don't mess with the computer that much.
Is that on your website?
Yeah.
You don't have social media, do you? Not a big Instagrammer?
No. Don't
Yeah.
even know how to be on it.
Yeah. Well, when I asked you to come on the podcast, you asked me what a podcast was.
Yeah, right.
It is amazing, though. So, like, you know, you're probably 10 years younger or so than my grandma. would have been. She died at 95 or something, but I asked her a question, and I'll tell you what the answer was, but I want to ask you a question. What is the biggest, like, I don't know if there's a generation that's going to see more change in their life than you, like your generation, and for sure hers. You know, the amount of change that you've seen from the time you were born to today, what's been the biggest impact? What's been the best change that impacted your life and everyone around you, like the biggest?
Oh, more modern stuff to do, machinery and all that sort of stuff, and the style of living. You know, you got running water now, electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really a big deal, you know, when that came along. I know my mother used to say, she died at 103.
Wow.
She said, to hell with all of them old-fashioned stuff. She said, I want all the new stuff I can get.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, all the conveniences. And
So she embraced all the change.
oh, yeah, yeah. But, you know, but now it's getting to where it's not the right way to go.
Yeah, the change is getting a little out of control.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. You identify as a man?
Hopefully.
Those are some of the changes that are getting a little weird.
Yeah, you
don't know what you are.
Well, that's just like all this. The school is trying to tell the parents they have no right to tell them how to teach their kids.
Right.
The school board thinks they should teach them kids all that stuff, and I don't know where they're coming from when they're doing that.
Well, we were just down at a school board meeting last week, and I was arguing because they were trying to, you know, they're putting some books into the reading curriculum that, frankly, have an agenda. You know, some of it's race-based stuff.
Yeah.
And then one of the books has the word fuck in it 89 times. I mean, I know you and I say that word probably more than we should, but you shouldn't be saying I don't think kids need to be reading it or saying it when they're 15 years old in school.
Oh, younger than that.
Right.
They're trying to teach them all this sex change stuff when they're 5 years old.
I know.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean,
a little 5-year-old kid playing with dolls, and all of a sudden they're trying to tell that kid he's a girl.
Yeah. And people that are changing their sex just to compete in sports, it's the most asinine thing I ever heard of.
Yeah.
And, you know, yesterday there was a young boy that graduated from high school, I think. Anyway, they were talking about that sex change thing, and he said that a man is born a man, should be a man, and a woman the same thing. They wouldn't let him go to graduation. They kicked him out of school.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually interesting because, like, the era that, like, you grew up in or that my grandma grew up in, the amount of hardship, and there is that saying, Henry, what is it? Hard times make hard men make easy times, or what's that quote? I can't remember what that quote is. He'll get it, but that whole quote about, you know, hard times make hard men make easy times make soft men, soft men make hard times. So, like, back then when you guys were growing up, you didn't have time to worry about if you were a boy or a girl.
No.
You had to go out and feed the chickens and the cows and
pigs, and of course, you can't build the greenery close to the pig pen. You know, it's got to be 75 yards or 100 yards away.
Yeah.
So you got to pack it all with 5-gallon buckets, you know.
Yeah.
One in each hand, and you're as young as you are, you can hardly keep the damn thing from dragging on the ground.
Right.
You know, never had a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
But
I feel like we're in that, you know, good times are creating soft men, and we're about to create hard times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, nobody wants to work anymore.
My grandma said the best change she ever had in her life, the biggest impactful change to her, was the telephone. Because she said to be able to call a doctor, to be able to call family in another state, you know, to be able to communicate was huge, because they were on a farm in the middle of nowhere as well.
Mm-hmm.
And for her to just be able to call into town and ask a doctor a question, call for help.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't.
Call the neighbor, like they couldn't call. And she said then it was electricity.
Yeah.
Because then electricity provides, obviously, electricity then provides the opportunity for everything else.
Right.
You know, machinery and everything to come
Well,
along.
yeah, refrigeration, you know, you had to store food differently back then.
Did you guys have a cellar?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used to, of course, take care of our own meat and such, you know, and
So if
smoking and all that stuff.
Okay, so if you cut up a beef back then, you know, I think about this today. If China hits us with an EMP and knocks out all electricity for everybody for a year, for example.
Yeah.
How back then, without refrigeration, would you guys take care of a beef and store it?
Well, you would have to jerky it or can it.
Mm-hmm. Did you do a lot of that as kids?
Yeah, we did canned a lot of meat and stuff, yeah.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and then, well, before that, in the city of town, whatever you want to call it, they had electricity, of course, you know, and you could rent a locker.
So the first time I'd really heard of that was, I've always heard the term meat locker, but it never really registered to me. But my dad was telling me last week they had a meat locker rented at the grocery store in town.
Yeah.
And they would buy food or whatever, and they would store it, and they would rent that locker.
Yeah.
A couple bucks a month, and they would store their food in that locker. And then when they were in town, they would go to their locker and get meat out and take it home.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We were talking, I wonder if that's something that'll come back around with the amount of people that have like apartments and stuff that have small living that can't have big food storage.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Meat locker storage.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If they have any meat places, you know, like butcher shops and stuff like that, they used to have meat lockers. That's where we rented a locker. I remember. But you had to go 30 miles to that, you know, to the bigger town.
Right.
To rent a locker.
Did you guys have a wagon that you'd take in behind a horse?
Yeah. 2 horses, yeah.
2 horses in a wagon.
Yeah.
30 miles to town when you'd...
Well, we never went to that, you know, that far away with the horses. Later on, after we got a car, we did. I think Dad had an old Hudson, I remember, and I don't remember what year it was. That's back in the old style Model A, you know, type of style of car that we had. And then you only went, at the most, was one day, maybe a week.
Yeah.
Or less often than that, even. But
Right.
But yeah, when we were kids, Jesus, we used to have to, you know, we had a big garden. It was, a couple 100 feet long, and then the potato patch was on the other side of the wind grove. We used to plant a couple acres of potatoes every year.
Did you and your siblings get in any good trouble in high school?
Shit, we were so damn busy, we never could get in trouble.
Did you play any sports at all? No.
We used to do a little boxing, but that was it.
Yeah. What, with your knife making career, well, actually, I was going to ask you about hunting. Did you hunt at all growing up? Or?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We didn't have any deer on the farm.
Oh?
Not until after the dam came in, and because the deer were all down in the breaks.
Okay, on the river.
Yeah. But yeah, we used to hunt a lot of birds and stuff, yeah.
Did you? Did you hunt around Missoula when you were living here?
Oh, yeah.
Any good hunting stories? Shoot any elk or What did you hunt for?
Anything that had hair on it. Oh, elk, deer, yeah.
Yeah, rifle hunted. Yeah.
Yeah, little black powder hunting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shot 3 deer one day out where I live, and one afternoon with my black powder.
Really?
Yeah, it was a crazy day. They were down on the river bottom, and I seen some deer coming over in a neighbor's field, and so I thought, I better load my black powder gun. And I shot one, and then the deer were kind of all over that day. It's kind of a weird day for some reason anyway. So I have 2 black powder guns. So I loaded my 50 and my 58 both. And so then when the bunch came over close to the irrigation ditch, I took both rifles out there and just shot two more deer. And
Really? Perfect.
yeah, so it was kind of, I like hunting with black powder, but
Yeah.
old primitive style, not the new style that they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
What do you remember from the knife making, or what's been your favorite part of making knives?
I don't know. I like making steel and getting together with other makers and stuff.
The people and the forging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ideas, and I haven't picked up any new ideas because, I'm out here all alone. You know what I mean? There's you, but you never do anything.
It's true. It's true. I don't forge enough at all.
No. I made some salad spoons out of stainless Damascus, but
Yeah.
that's
Well, you said right now you're trying to build a Damascus bowl.
yeah, I don't know if I have a big enough forge, but yeah, but I'm going to have to attack it at a different way. I'm having too much wrinkling around the outside edge of the bowl.
Now, you were telling me the other day you went and took a cylinder out of a forklift the other day.
No, I took the rails.
Oh, the rails.
Yeah, I had too much. I needed more room in my press.
Okay.
I got a 50-ton press that I made.
Yeah.
It's got a cat cylinder in it,
Uh-huh.
But for splitting, and I needed more room in it to make bowls. Because the spoons that I made, I barely have enough room to get in, so I had to take the plug out of the bottom of my press and put in a different plug.
Yeah.
So a neighbor that I know over here used to do a lot of forging. He's a floor layer, actually, Grant Luark, and he had a mast off of a forklift over there. So I went over and got that from him and put it in there for a plug. Give me 3 more inches in my press.
How are you moving all that shit around? You got help?
No.
No wonder your back's sore.
Yeah, well, I got a little tractor, but it only lifts 500 pounds.
What do you lift? 800?
Yes, I need it sometimes. No, I haven't. I don't need to move anything anymore, I think, but I have if I was younger, I'd buy some different equipment, but I'm too damn old now to be buying all new shit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty cool new equipment. It's come a ways since, like, even I started doing my hammering, used to come out to that. Travis introduced his grinder there, and then the press and rolling mill stuff became a bigger deal. Did you build your own rolling mill?
I have the first rolling mill in Montana.
Did you? Where'd that one come from?
Came from the kid in Wenatchee.
Matt Whitmus?
Yeah.
Oh, so you have number 1? Because I think I have number 2 then. Mine was early.
He's made more than that since between you and me, I think.
I don't think so. I think mine was just 2nd or 3rd.
Really?
Yeah. Gary House, I thought had one. It was really early.
Were you over there when they brought mine?
No. Oh, well, wasn't it during
Gary House was there?
It was during my hammer-in, right?
No.
Didn't he bring it over during that? I think he came over and delivered it to you during that time.
Oh, maybe. I know there was 4 or 5 of those guys there when
I think they came
over.
from here and went over to your place and helped
That's possible. That's possible.
I didn't want to help you.
Yeah, that's all right. We got it done. He doesn't make a very good stand for his unit, though.
Oh,
It's kind of flimsy.
well, you definitely like to make heavy shit.
Yeah, I guess I do. I make all my damn Damascus too thick for everybody else,
Yeah.
but you can always take it off.
Well, your billets of steel are huge. Like when I'm over there,
Oh yeah, I could.
is it because you're short? Are you trying to compensate?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I just whatever I pick up and use, it doesn't matter.
Well, it does make sense though when you're forging the bigger billets. I mean, if you're going to do all that work, you might as well forge
Yeah, something big.
quite a bit of steel. And your surface grinder absolutely hogs material off.
Well, that's the only way to have it.
Well, mine's kind of a sissy.
It is. We've got a wimp.
I do.
I got a 5-horse motor on mine.
Well, I think I do too, but my belt slips if I try to take too much off.
Well, maybe I ought to double belt it.
Well, I probably should.
I got 2 belts on mine.
Does it?
Yeah. I got 3 on my hammer and 2 on my surface grinder.
Jesus, and 4 on your waist.
Yeah. Got to hold it in.
What's who's a knife maker you looked up to in your career?
Actually, not really.
Nobody?
I didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
really.
Kind of doing your own thing.
Oh, I have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me because like I always felt like you were always in there kind of doing your thing.
Well, of course you pick up things at Hammer, and that's why you go,
Yeah. Yeah, I know you copied a lot of my stuff.
Yeah, right, yeah. And so, and then I guess your buddy didn't like me anymore because he didn't invite me to his Hammer anymore.
Who's that?
Rick.
He probably thought you were too old.
Well, shit.
I don't know. He's getting so old, he probably forgot to invite you. That's probably more likely. He moved to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I just heard that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget who told me that.
Probably me.
I said, no, it was before. Somebody else told me that. I forget who it was.
Yeah.
They were in my shop when they told me that. I couldn't. Well, he had I don't know why he moved. Well, you said his dad was getting old. And
Yeah, his dad's kind of unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And that's where he's from.
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. What style of knives did you enjoy making the most, or do you enjoy making the most?
Oh, I don't know. I've been making quite a few fighters, lately in Damascus. But of course, a drop point is, the standard way back then.
Yeah.
So it still is today,
Classic.
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
You've made a ton of chef's knives, kitchen knives.
Yeah, I made more chef knives this year than ever, more kitchen knives.
Yeah.
And so I've been making a lot of culinary stuff into stainless Damascus, but I made a few San Mai, but you know what? I don't like San Mai.
Why is that?
It's too heavy for a lot of things
Yeah.
that you make. And so I've got about 400 pounds of 440, and and I already have made some. I'm going to use AEBL and 440 stainless to make my stainless Damascus.
Oh. Have you used that before?
I just started using it.
Forging it?
Yeah, it sticks together good.
Does it?
Yeah.
What do you have to do? Anything special to get it to forge weld?
No, it just got to be atmospheric free. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of a pain, but it's harder to work than regular Damascus. But
Do you have to move it slower, like in your rolling mill and stuff?
yeah, well, rolling mill doesn't seem to bother too much difference. But you got to in the hammer, you got to take it easy with it. You can't beat the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I used to be able to take a carbon steel Damascus and heat it, weld it, and run it out into a bar the next weld
Right.
in my hammer,
Right.
and You can't do that with stainless.
Yeah, it just doesn't move.
No, it moves slow, and you got to keep it hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't do anything. Well, you can't do anything with regular Damascus either. Like, for instance, making a bowl. Everything's got to be done hot.
Yeah.
Because it'll break.
Yeah.
Pop. I know the first 4 spoons I made, they broke them all.
Really?
Yeah. I had do you have a big blacksmith with all the stuff in it?
Like a
spoon and
Oh, no.
stuff like that?
No.
Well, I have a half of one, and it's got the spoon in it. If I would like to be able to make the spoon all in one unit, but today I'm making a spoon and the handle separate, and then I'm pinning them and then soldering them on together.
That's cool.
But one guy wanted 20 of them. I said, they ain't going to be cheap.
Well, you've always been somebody, I've always said you got to raise your prices.
Yeah, I know it.
Because you've always been way behind in work, nonstop.
Yeah.
And your prices have always been, I think, more than reasonable.
Yeah, I probably don't. I know once in a while I hear somebody, they don't like it because
You're 87. You can charge whatever the hell you want. Right?
Well, I got one store that I supply.
Where's that?
Down in Jackson, Wyoming.
Okay.
With knives and so.
How many knives do you send them usually?
Well, usually 4 or 5 dozen a year, but
yeah,
it's been slow this year. I think that our current administration screwed everything up so bad that
I thought
people quit buying stuff.
I thought you said you voted for Biden.
I didn't vote for that sorry bastard.
You and him are the same age.
He don't even know what he's doing. At least I know what I'm doing.
You don't trip and fall everywhere you go.
No, he did again yesterday.
He did?
Yeah. He fell down on stage.
Oh, I saw that one, yeah.
Somebody said that he tripped on a sandbag. Well, he don't need a sandbag to trip on.
I've seen your shop. There's plenty to trip on in your shop.
Yeah, I know there is.
You're like a fox running around there.
Yeah, I know it's worse now than it ever has been.
It's unbelievable.
I know where everything is pretty much, so.
You can just go through there with your eyes closed. Yeah, what do you think, like with the state of our country, what do you, because I mean, you probably remember very well, even the, my parents talk a lot about like 1980, 81, the interest rates.
Oh,
you know, all that kind of hard times. And people, like our interest rates are up, what? Like Henry City got just under 6% or 5 on a home loan.
5.7, but that was a ARM. So currently it's like around 7.
Yeah. So I told him back in 2002, I got my first home loan. They guaranteed me, like locked me in at 6%. And they said it's the lowest it's been and ever. It's never going lower than this. Like you got to lock it in. And they just kept going down. And now we're up around 6 or 7% and people are freaking out.
It's gone to 8. Going to go to 8, I guess.
But back in the 80s, it was 20% interest. 18 to 20%. And
not on a home loan.
Yeah, in 81.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, my parents actually, remember, they had just gotten married 4 or 5 years earlier, and they had me in 81, but they actually, like, really struggled just because, like, the cost of loans was insane back then.
I never had a loan on a house.
Really?
No. When I sold my house up in Lolo, I paid cash for the one I'm in now.
No shit.
For the shop and the house.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think it's going to be for young kids? I mean, guys are kids are having to pay $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 for a home.
Oh, I know it. I don't see how the hell they're going to do it. Not around here anyway. Their jobs are not there to supply the money for it. Both people have to work, and then if you have kids, you're got to have a babysitter.
Right.
So I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't get it. I don't see how they can pay that much for a house payment, plus you got all your other stuff to pay for, automobile.
Right. Electric bill and all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything's so expensive. You go to the grocery store, it's crazy how expensive everything is.
Oh, I know it. It's gone up all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that you buy from a month or so ago is up at buck
Right.
just for one item.
Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like we are in that area where it feels like easy times are about to make hard times again.
Yeah.
Even just the amount of hours people want to work, people don't want to work, but then also the wages have not kept up with the cost of, the price of homes and the price of everything.
Well, that's true. But I don't know how you're gonna compensate for that.
Well, and it's hard for employers to pay
Yeah.
what people really probably need to be making because the taxes it's insane. The regulations, the taxes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. How can people pay it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in today's world, I'm sure that your house payment or your taxes are in on your house payment. But years ago they weren't. They were separate.
Right.
But the taxes weren't that much years ago either, but now they are.
Yeah.
I mean, holy cow. I know a lot of people that are paying $5,000 or $6,000 a year for taxes.
Oh, easy. I'm paying that here.
Yeah.
I'm more like 7.
Yeah, but you got a bunch more buildings than you had before, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but they penalize you for like working hard, and if I had just left my place a complete shit show like I bought it, I'd be paying way less in taxes. So
Yeah, I know it. Sometimes you wonder why you improve yourself.
Right. Yeah, if I just left it looking like shit, it would be worth less and they'd tax me less.
Yeah, right.
They don't incentivize you to do well. That's for
No.
sure. They penalize you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But they incentivize you to stay home and not work.
Yeah, they do that.
Well, what do you see happening with the rest of your, what goals do you have as far as, what projects do you want to work on with your knife making before you're all done? What are some things you want to learn and do?
Oh, I don't know. New patterns and stuff like that would be interesting.
Forging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a place where people can buy your Damascus? Like if you're forging it, or are you trying to sell it, or
No, they just come to me. I don't try and sell it. They just
come to your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can still find your phone number on the internet.
Is it?
You must still have a landline.
No, I don't. Well, I do, but it's through Verizon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the phone company, the lines broke between Mullen Road and my house, and they won't fix it.
Oh, really? Because it's the same phone number forever.
Yeah, well, you can keep your same phone number.
Yeah.
Well, they said that there wasn't enough people on the line to fix it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because everybody got a cell phone.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I would rather get rid of my cell phone and my house phone and have a AT&T phone.
What do you think has been the worst? I meant to ask this during your lifespan, like the best change, and then what do you think's been the worst change for society or for people?
Right now is the worst time.
Do you think it's due to the internet, social media? What do you think?
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of it, the internet and social media together.
Yeah, it's interesting because social media for us has been a really useful, powerful tool. It seems to me like the worst thing, and I don't know what it's like for you, but or what it was like when you were younger, but to me, the worst thing that I think, and it's not a technology piece, but it feels like to me the worst thing that's happening today is the way that our government operates and doesn't work with each other. It seems like back when you were younger, maybe in your 40s or 50s even, they had their disagreements, but then it still felt like back then that they had what was best for America still in their mind.
Yeah, but they don't do that anymore.
No.
I don't know what the end game is for the Democrats. I really don't.
Yeah.
Other than they want socialism, which is communism.
Right.
Right. And the young kids don't seem to care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting time for sure. It makes me wonder what people like you think that saw it, in your 20s and 30s, what you saw the country was like, and national pride, especially coming off of World War II. you know, when you were in your teens or early teens, and then through the Korean War, you saw Vietnam, and then this whole Afghanistan thing, 9/11, all that. You've seen a lot of.
Yeah, well, look at all the stupid things they did in Afghanistan when
Right.
they pulled out of there. We rearmed all the
Taliban.
all the Taliban and all that stuff over there with our equipment, and gave it all to them.
Well, like I said, Biden's about your age. I think it's kind of your generation's fault.
No, it ain't my fault. Not my fault. That's for damn sure.
No, it's it's too bad some of that's going on, but
Well, who the hell is running the government?
well, I don't think it's him. It's definitely not him. No.
Hell no, he ain't got enough brains to run anything.
No.
Somebody's running him, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless it's old George Soros or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah. Well, you got anything else? Anything you want to bring up, or any good stories you want to tell before we quit?
No, I don't have any stories anymore. Hell, I'm getting to where I can't remember from one day to the next what the hell I'm doing.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I think it was fun, and it's always, like I say, I have always admired. One thing I'll always remember about you is like your work ethic. I mean, all you do is work. I mean, like I say, whenever I'm over there, I don't know if it's because Darlene forces you. Maybe she's super mean.
No, she's having a hard time herself right now.
She's a sweetheart.
She has a lot of. I finally got her to go to a physical therapist
Yeah.
here in town. So maybe she'll get better, hopefully. She said she feels better now, but
Yeah.
First I had to get her to go to the pain center, and Heyman put some shots in her hip. It's supposed to break up the scar tissue,
Yeah.
get rid of some of her pain, but I wish he'd get rid of mine.
Yeah. What, with your hip?
Yeah, my hip's been bothering me now. My hip and my back, but
Yeah.
I think it's all related, but
Right. That's what they always say. Well, Darlene's absolutely just been a sweetheart forever, and she's had to put up with you, so
well, that's
makes
all
her
right.
a saint.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what she claims, but I'm not buying into that.
Yeah. All right, Gerome. Well, I appreciate you.
There's two sides to everything.
It's true. It's true. But everybody believes her side.
Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care anymore.
Yeah.